The melody drifted through the crowded marketplace, hauntingly beautiful yet somehow out of place among the shouts of vendors and the bustle of morning shoppers. Sophia paused, her hand hovering over a display of colorful scarves, head tilting, slightly as she tried to locate the source of the sound. It was her third day in this coastal town, a last-minute addition to her Southeast Asian tour. The guidebooks barely mentioned it, just another fishing village with picturesque sunsets and local handicrafts. Perfect for tourists seeking authentic experiences without straying too far from comfort. "You like?" the vendor asked hopefully, holding up a vibrant blue scarf. "Good price for you, miss." Sophia smiled politely but shook her head, still distracted by the music. "Maybe later," she murmured, stepping away from the stall. The singing grew clearer as she moved through the crowded alleyway, a child's voice singing in a language she didn't understand, yet conveying emotions that needed no translation. She rounded a corner and finally saw her. A small girl, perhaps 8 or 9 years old, sitting cross-legged on a weathered wooden crate. Her clothes were clean but worn thin, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. A small tin can rested on the ground before her, containing only a few scattered coins. The girl's eyes were closed as she sang, her face serene, as if transported far from the dusty marketplace. Around her, locals barely glanced her way as they hurried past, her presence apparently as familiar as the stray cats that wandered between stalls. A few tourists slowed, snapping quick photos before moving on. Sophia stopped, transfixed. There was something about the child that held her attention, a dignity beyond her years, a voice that seemed to carry generations of stories. The song ended, and the girl's eyes opened, immediately finding Sophia's gaze with an intensity that made her catch her breath. "Beautiful singing," Sophia said, approaching slowly. She dropped a handful of coins into the tin. "What's your name?" The girl straightened, switching effortlessly to accented English. "I am Mei Lin," she replied, her voice clear and confident. "Thank you for listening." "You speak English very well," Sophia remarked, genuinely impressed. Mei Lin's expression remained carefully neutral. "Tourists give more money if I can talk to them." She gestured to a laminated card beside her with prices written in multiple languages. "I can sing many songs, traditional songs, pop songs, whatever you like." A menu of performances, Sophia realized with a pang. This wasn't spontaneous artistry. It was survival. "Do you come here every day?" Sophia asked, crouching down to the girl's level. Mei Lin nodded. "Every day except Sunday. Sunday is for school." "And your parents?" Sophia asked gently. Something flickered in Mei Lin's eyes, a shadow quickly hidden. "My aunt takes care of me. Now," she said simply. "I help with money." Before Sophia could respond, a group of loud tourists swarmed into the narrow alleyway, cameras swinging from their necks, voices echoing off the close walls. "Oh my God, look at this place, it's so authentic," a woman in a flowery sundress exclaimed, gesturing broadly. "This is exactly what I wanted, real, local culture." Her companion, a red-faced man in a baseball cap, nodded enthusiastically. "Gotta get some photos for Instagram. People are going to be so jealous." They spotted Mei Lin and the woman's eyes lit up. "Oh look, a little street performer, how adorable." She nudged her companion. "Get a picture, Dave." Dave stepped forward, camera raised. "Hey kid, give us a smile." Mei Lin's face transformed instantly, a practiced smile appearing as she straightened her posture. Sophia saw it happen, the subtle shift from child to performer, the careful crafting of an appearance designed to please foreign eyes. "Can you sing something?" the woman asked, already digging in her purse. "Something, ethnic?" Mei Lin nodded, the smile never wavering. "Traditional song, very beautiful, $5. The woman laughed, nudging her companion again. "Did you hear that? $5. She's quite the little entrepreneur." Dave snickered. "Pretty steep for a street performance kid," he said, but pulled out his wallet anyway. "How about $2? Mei Lin's smile dimmed slightly. $5, she repeated firmly. "Very special song." The woman rolled her eyes. "These locals, always trying to rip off tourists. Fine, $5, but it better be good. She dropped the bill into Mei Lin's tin with an exaggerated gesture. Sophia felt her jaw tighten as she observed the exchange. The condescension in their tone, the way they spoke about Mei Lin as if she weren't a child, but an attraction, a photo opportunity, a story to tell back home. Mei Lin began to sing, her voice rising clear and strong above the market noise. Her performance was flawless, her expression serene, but Sophia noticed how her hands gripped the edges of her wooden crate, knuckles whitening slightly. The tourists recorded the entire song. Then Dave bent down with an exaggerated smile. "That was great, kid. Hey, can we get a picture with you? For memories?" Mei Lin nodded, that same practiced smile returning. "Picture with singing girl, $3, the woman scoffed. "You've got to be kidding me, we already paid for the song." "Picture is extra," Mei Lin said calmly. $3, Dave laughed incredulously. "These people, I swear, they'll do anything for $1. He turned to his companion. "Come on, Sandra, let's check out those food stalls instead. I heard they have weird stuff on sticks we can try." Sandra glanced down at Mei Lin. "Sorry, honey, maybe next time." She dropped a single dollar into the tin. "For effort." As they walked away, Sophia heard Sandra say, "I bet her family puts her up to this. Probably makes a fortune off tourists feeling sorry for her." Dave nodded. "Yeah, they're all like that here. It's all a big show." Their laughter faded as they disappeared into the crowd. Mei Lin's smile vanished, her eyes following them with an expression too complex for a child so young, a mixture of resignation, indignation, and something deeper that Sophia couldn't quite name. Sophia found herself rooted to the spot, a strange tension building in her chest. She had witnessed similar scenes throughout her travels, the casual dismissal of locals, the entitled behavior of fellow tourists, the commodification of culture and poverty. Usually she had walked away, uncomfortable but unwilling to interfere. This time something stopped her. Maybe it was the way Mei Lin's voice had first caught her attention, so unexpectedly beautiful in the chaos of the marketplace. Maybe it was the practiced smile that had appeared too quickly, too perfectly on a child's face. Or maybe it was simply that, after weeks of being a passive observer, Sophia was finally ready to stop walking away. She sat down on the edge of a nearby stall, ignoring the vendor's curious glance. "That was beautiful singing," she said to Mei Lin. "Would you teach me a few words of that song?" Mei Lin looked at her with surprise, the professional mask slipping just slightly. "You want to learn?" Sophia nodded. "I'd like to try. Is that okay?" For the first time, Mei Lin's smile reached her eyes, a genuine expression that transformed her face completely. "Teaching is also $5, she said, a hint of mischief in her voice. Sophia laughed, the tension in her chest easing slightly. "Well worth it, I'm sure," she said, reaching for her wallet. As she did, she noticed a man watching them intently from across the alleyway, his expression unreadable. When he caught her looking, he turned away quickly, disappearing into the crowd. Mei Lin followed Sophia's gaze, her smile fading. "We should start the lesson," she said quietly, suddenly seeming in a hurry, "before more tourists come." The morning stretched into afternoon as Sophia sat with Mei Lin, learning not just the song, but stories of the local culture, carefully shared in the child's precise English. Tourists passed, some stopping to listen, others hurrying by with barely a glance. A few dropped coins in Mei Lin's tin, but most simply took photos from a distance as if she were another local curiosity to be captured and shared. "How long have you been singing in the market?" Sophia asked during a lull in the crowd. Mei Lin's fingers traced patterns in the dust beside her crate. 2 years since we came to this city." "We?" Sophia prompted gently. "My mother and me," Mei Lin said, her voice softening. "We came from the north. There was—" She searched for the word. "Fighting there. Bad people." Sophia nodded, understanding. The northern regions had been torn by ethnic conflicts for years, displacing thousands. The news had covered it briefly before moving on to more sensational stories. "And your mother?" Sophia asked, though. She was beginning to suspect the answer. Mei Lin's face remained carefully composed. "She got sick last year, very sick." Her voice was matter-of-fact, too controlled for a child discussing tragedy. "Now I live with my aunt." "I'm sorry," Sophia said, the words feeling inadequate. Mei-Lin shrugged slightly. Many people have sad stories. My mother said we should not make others carry our sadness. Before Sophia could respond, a sharp voice cut through their conversation. What are you doing with my niece? The woman who approached was thin, hard-faced, eyes darting suspiciously between Sophia and Mei-Lin. She wore the same worn look as many locals, but there was something different in her manner, a brittleness, an edge of desperation poorly concealed. Mei-Lin immediately straightened, her expression closing off. Auntie, this is Sophia. She paid for lessons. The woman, Mei-Lin's supposed aunt, snorted dismissively. Lessons? We don't have time for lessons. She grabbed the tin can, quickly, counting the contents. Her face darkened. This is all? You've been here since morning? It's been slow today, Mei-Lin said quietly, her eyes downcast. Not many tourists wanted songs. The woman's grip on the tin tightened. Then you should sing louder. How do you expect us to eat if you sit here whispering all day? Sophia stood, discomfort giving way to concern. Excuse me, but Mei-Lin has been working hard all morning. Her singing is beautiful. The woman's attention snapped to Sophia, eyes narrowing. And who are you? Another tourist looking for a poor child to photograph? To feel good about yourself? No, Sophia began, but the woman cut her off. You foreigners are all the same. You come here, take pictures of our poverty, then go home, and tell stories about how meaningful your vacation was. Her laugh was bitter. Meanwhile, we still need to eat. Sophia flushed, the accusation hitting uncomfortably close to home. Wasn't that precisely what she had been doing throughout her travels? Collecting experiences, photographs, stories of exotic places and people to share back home? I'm sorry if I've offended you, she said carefully. I just enjoyed Mei-Lin's singing and wanted to learn more. The woman's expression softened slightly, calculation replacing anger. You like her singing? She is very talented. Special child. She placed a possessive hand on Mei-Lin's shoulder. Perhaps you would like private performance for your hotel. Very exclusive, very cultural, good price. Mei-Lin's shoulders tensed under the woman's grip, though her face remained impassive. I don't think, Sophia began, but was interrupted by a new voice. Lian. Enough. The man who approached was older, his face weathered but kind. He wore the simple clothes of a local fisherman, but carried himself with quiet authority. The marketplace vendors nodded respectfully as he passed. The woman, Lian, immediately straightened, her demeanor shifting. Elder Chen, I was just... Heard what you were doing, Chen said, his voice gentle but firm. This is not our way. Lian's face flushed with anger, but she remained silent, clearly unwilling to challenge the elder openly. Chen turned to Sophia with an apologetic smile. Forgive us. Times have been difficult since the storms damaged our fishing boats. Some forget their dignity in hardship. He looked at Mei-Lin with genuine affection. This child has brought beauty to our marketplace with her songs. We value her for this, not for the coins she collects. Lian scoffed quietly but said nothing. Chen addressed her directly. Mei-Lin will come with me now. My wife has prepared lunch. She needs to earn, Lian protested. We need the money. And you will have it, Chen said calmly, reaching into his pocket and pressing some bills into her hand. The community has decided. Mei-Lin will attend school full-time starting next week. The elders will ensure your household doesn't suffer for it. Lian's fingers closed around the money, her expression conflicted. After a moment, she nodded stiffly and turned to leave, but not before giving Sophia one last suspicious glance. She disappeared into the crowd. Sophia noticed how Mei-Lin's posture changed, relief evident in the slight relaxation of her shoulders. Thank you, Elder Chen, the girl said softly. Chen smiled, patting her head gently. Your mother would be proud of your strong voice and stronger heart, little one. Now go, help my wife with the tables. She is waiting. Mei-Lin gathered her few belongings quickly. Before leaving, she turned to Sophia with a smile. A real one this time, shy but genuine. Thank you for listening, she said simply, then hurried away through the marketplace. Chen watched her go, his expression thoughtful. That child has endured much, he said, almost to himself. Then he turned to Sophia. You are not like other tourists who come here. Sophia wasn't sure if it was a compliment or an observation. I just enjoyed her singing, she said. Chen studied her face. Perhaps, or perhaps you saw what others missed. He gestured for her to walk with him. Come. There is something you should understand about our little singer. Curious, Sophia fell into step beside him. As they moved through the marketplace, vendors called out greetings to Chen, offering samples and small gifts, which he politely declined with practiced ease. Mei-Lin and her mother arrived last year, Chen explained as they walked. Refugees from the conflicts in the north. The mother was already ill. The journey was too harsh for her weakened body. His voice softened. Before she died, she made our community promise to look after her daughter. We agreed, of course. How could we not? But that woman, Lian, she's not really Mei-Lin's aunt, Sophia asked. Chen sighed. Distant relation at best. She offered to take the child when others couldn't. We were grateful at first. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Later we realized her intentions were less than honorable. The child's talent became a source of income. School became secondary. They reached a small tea house at the edge of the market. Chen gestured for Sophia to sit at an outdoor table, ordering tea with a few quiet words to the server. Why are you telling me this? Sophia asked when they were alone. Chen regarded her steadily. Because you stopped to truly listen, not just hear. Because you saw a child, not a photo opportunity. He leaned forward slightly. And because Mei-Lin's future hangs in balance, and you might be part of that future's shaping. Me? Sophia shook her head. I'm just a tourist. I'll be gone in a few days. Perhaps, Chen agreed, accepting the tea the server brought with a nod of thanks. Or perhaps there are no accidents in this world, and you were meant to hear her song today. Sophia wrapped her hands around the warm teacup, uncertainty churning inside her. What exactly are you suggesting? Chen took a sip of his tea before answering. Mei-Lin has a gift that reaches beyond our small town. Her voice could open doors that would otherwise remain closed. He set his cup down carefully. The regional music school in the city holds auditions next month. A scholarship. There would change her life completely. That sounds wonderful, Sophia said, still not understanding her role. It is not so simple, Chen continued. Lian will not allow it. The child's earnings support her household now. And the elders, he sighed. We can ensure Mei-Lin attends local school, but we lack connections to these prestigious city institutions. Understanding began to dawn. You think I have these connections? Chen smiled slightly. You are Western, educated, clearly from wealth. In our country, this opens doors. He held up a hand as Sophia began to protest. It is not fair, but it is reality. A recommendation from someone like you would carry weight. But I don't know anything about music schools, Sophia argued. I'm not a musician. I have no influence here. You underestimate the power of privilege, Chen said quietly. And beyond that, you underestimate the impact of genuine care. That child has known little of it since her mother passed. Sophia fell silent, absorbing his words. Outside the tea house, life continued. Vendors calling their wares, children laughing. As they ran between stalls, tourists haggling over souvenirs. Somewhere in this vibrant chaos was a child with an extraordinary gift and an uncertain future. What would I need to do? She finally asked. Chen's eyes brightened with hope. First, come to dinner tonight. Meet Mei-Lin properly, away from the marketplace. Listen to her sing without expectation of payment or performance. He leaned forward, earnestly. Then, if you believe in her talent as I do, help us find a path forward. As Sophia considered his request, she could still hear Mei-Lin's voice in her mind, hauntingly beautiful and somehow both ancient and new. She thought of the practiced smile the child had worn for tourists, the subtle tension when Lian had appeared, and the brief moment of genuine joy when someone had finally wanted to learn rather than simply take. Okay, she said, making her decision. I'll come to dinner. Chen nodded, satisfaction evident in his face. Good, very good. He rose, leaving money for the tea. Sometimes the universe places us exactly where we need to be, even when we think we are merely passing through. As he walked away, Sophia remained at the table, turning her teacup slowly in her hands. She had come to this town seeking an authentic experience, another stop on her tour of Southeast Asia, another series of photos for her travel blog, another story to tell at dinner parties back home. Instead, she had found a child whose song had somehow pierced through the comfortable bubble of tourism, forcing her to truly see the world she had been merely observing. The realization was uncomfortable, challenging the narrative she had constructed about her travels and herself. The server approached, asking if she wanted anything else. Sophia shook her head, rising from the table. She had preparations to make. Before dinner, not just changing clothes, but changing perspective. Something told her that tonight would be a turning point, not just for Mei-Lin, but for herself as well. Chen's home sat on the outskirts of town, a modest dwelling surrounded by fruit trees and a small vegetable garden. As Sophia approached in the golden light of early evening, she could hear laughter from inside, not the performative sounds of the marketplace, but genuine, unguarded joy. She paused at the gate, suddenly uncertain. Was she overstepping? What did she really have to offer beyond good intentions? Before she could reconsider, the door opened and Mei-Lin appeared, face brightening when she spotted Sophia. "You came!" the child exclaimed, hurrying forward to take her hand. "Elder Chen said you might, but I wasn't sure." Gone was the careful performer from the marketplace. Here was simply a child, hair loose around her shoulders, wearing a clean but well-worn dress, eyes bright with anticipation. "I promised I would," Sophia said, allowing herself to be pulled inside. The home was simple but welcoming, bamboo mats on clean floors, walls adorned with traditional tapestries, the air fragrant with cooking spices. Chen's wife, a warm-faced woman introduced as Lin, greeted Sophia with genuine hospitality, pressing a cup of tea into her hands and urging her to sit. "Mei-Lin has spoken of nothing but your visit," Lin said, smiling as the child hovered nearby. "It is rare for her to connect so quickly with someone." Dinner was a humble affair by Western standards, but prepared with obvious care. Rice, fish stew, fresh vegetables from the garden. What struck Sophia most was the easy conversation, the absence of the marketplace tension. Here Mei-Lin laughed freely, helped serve the food, chatted about books she had read and songs she had learned. "My mother taught me to sing before I could talk," she told Sophia as they ate. "She said music speaks when words fail." "Your mother was very wise," Sophia replied, touched by the simple statement. After dinner, they gathered in the small living area. Without prompting, Mei-Lin began to sing. Not the practiced performances of the marketplace, but songs that clearly held personal meaning, her voice rising and falling with natural emotion. Sophia found herself transfixed. Without the distractions of the busy market, the child's talent was even more apparent. Pure tone, perfect pitch, and an emotional depth that seemed impossible for someone so young. When Mei-Lin finished, there was a moment of reverent silence before Chen spoke. "Now you understand," he said quietly to Sophia. She nodded, unable to find adequate words. This wasn't just a clever child performing for tourists. This was genuine artistry, a rare gift that deserved nurturing. Later, as Mei-Lin helped Lin clear the dishes, Chen showed Sophia a worn folder containing newspaper clippings, school reports, and a few faded photographs. Her mother kept these, he explained. Before the conflicts, before they fled, Mei-Lin sang with a children's choir in their village. They performed for regional officials. He pointed to a grainy photo of smiling children in matching outfits. Her teacher wrote this. He handed Sophia a letter, carefully preserved despite water stains along one edge. The teacher's assessment was clear. Mei-Lin possessed exceptional talent that should be developed through formal training. "This is why I believe the music school would accept her," Chen said, "if only she had the chance to audition." As Sophia read through the documents, a plan began to form in her mind. She wasn't a musician, but she did have resources. Contacts from her years working in international development before switching to travel writing, a platform with her blog, and savings that had been earmarked for luxury experiences on this trip. The auditions are next month, she confirmed. Chen nodded. Yes, but there are complications. Application fees, transportation to the city, proper clothing. He sighed. And of course Lian's resistance. What if I could help with those things? Sophia asked carefully. Not as charity, but as investment in talent. Chen studied her face. You would do this? For a child you just met? The question gave Sophia pause. Why was she considering such involvement? Was it guilt over her privileged tourism, a savior complex, or something more genuine? She thought of Mei Lin's song that morning, how it had cut through the marketplace noise and caught her attention, when nothing else had, how it had shifted something inside her, awakening a part of herself she had forgotten in the comfortable bubble of her travels. Sometimes, she said slowly, echoing Chen's earlier words, the universe places us exactly where we need to be. A smile spread across Chen's weathered face, understanding passing between them. The week that followed transformed Sophia's vacation into something entirely different. Instead of temple tours and souvenir shopping, her days filled with purpose. She extended her stay indefinitely, cancelling the rest of her Southeast Asian itinerary. With Chen's guidance, she navigated local bureaucracy, submitted Mei Lin's application to the music school, and arranged for an audition. Using her contacts, she secured a meeting with the school's director, who agreed to consider Mei Lin despite the late application. Lian's resistance proved the most difficult challenge. At first she flatly refused, unwilling to lose her source of income. It took community intervention led by Chen and a financial arrangement that would support Lian during Mei Lin's schooling before she reluctantly agreed. She doesn't care about the child, Lin confided to Sophia one evening as they prepared dinner together. But she cares about face, about how she appears to others. Chen made it clear the community would not respect her if she blocked Mei Lin's future for selfish reasons. Throughout it all, Mei Lin approached each development with a mixture of hope and caution, as if afraid to fully believe in possibilities. She practiced diligently, her voice growing stronger and more confident as the audition approached. The morning of the audition dawned clear and bright. Sophia, Chen, and Lin accompanied Mei Lin to the city, leaving behind a marketplace that seemed strangely quiet without her songs. The music school was imposing, a colonial-era building with grand columns and a reputation for excellence. Inside, children from wealthy families waited with private tutors and expensive instruments. Mei Lin, in her best dress, new but simple, a gift from Sophia that maintained her dignity, stood out in her unadorned authenticity. When her name was called, she gripped Sophia's hand briefly. "Thank you," she whispered, then walked into the audition room with straight shoulders and raised chin. Through the door, they heard her voice rise, clear, pure, unaccompanied by instruments yet filling the space completely. Sophia felt tears spring to her eyes, seeing the faces of the judges transform from polite interest to genuine attention. When Mei Lin emerged, her expression was carefully controlled, giving nothing away. They waited in tense silence as other children performed, until finally the judges appeared with their decision. The head judge, a stern-faced woman in formal attire, approached them directly. "You are the child's guardians?" she asked, glancing between Chen and Sophia. "Her community," Chen replied with simple dignity. The judge nodded, her expression softening slightly as she looked at Mei Lin. "We rarely offer full scholarships," she said. "But exceptional talent demands exceptional opportunity." The words took a moment to register. Mei Lin's careful composure broke, joy illuminating her face as she turned to Sophia and Chen with wide eyes. "She will need proper housing in the city," the judge continued, "monthly stipend for expenses, regular family visits. All will be arranged," Chen assured her, his own voice thick with emotion. As they left the building, Mei Lin walked as if in a dream, her hand firmly in Sophia's, whispering, "Thank you," over and over, in a litany of gratitude. News spread quickly through the small town upon their return. The marketplace, which had first introduced Sophia to Mei Lin's voice, became a place of celebration. Vendors who had barely noticed the singing child now proclaimed they had always recognized her talent. Even Lian, faced with community approval and financial security, managed a stiff acknowledgement of the achievement. On Sophia's last evening in town, Chen hosted a small gathering. The community elders presented Mei Lin with gifts to take to her new school: a journal, a lucky charm, a small jade pendant that had belonged to her mother. Sophia had postponed her departure several times, helping with arrangements, ensuring Mei Lin's transition would be smooth. But now it was time to continue her journey, changed, redirected, but necessary. "Will you visit me at school?" Mei Lin asked as they sat together under the stars. "Of course," Sophia promised. "And you'll write to me. Tell me about everything." "You're learning?" Mei Lin nodded solemnly. "I will make you proud." "You already have," Sophia said softly. "More importantly, you've made yourself proud. Your mother would be too." The child's eyes glistened in the moonlight. "She used to say that songs can build bridges between worlds," she said. I think she was right. As Sophia boarded her flight the next day, her perspective had shifted irrevocably. The remainder of her trip would be different, less about collecting experiences and more about genuine connection. She had arranged to visit organizations working with migrant communities in each country, offering her writing skills and newly awakened awareness. 6 months later, Sophia received a package containing a CD with a handwritten note. "My first recording, The Bridge Between Our Worlds." Mei Lin's voice, now trained but still carrying that same pure emotion, filled Sophia's apartment as she read the accompanying letter describing life at music school, new friends, challenges overcome. At the letter's end, a postscript. "The judges said something strange at my first recital. They said I sing like someone who has lived many lives. I told them I have lived only one life, but it has been 2 different stories, before the marketplace and after, before you stop to listen and after. Sometimes a single moment can change everything." Sophia placed the letter carefully in a keepsake box that now sat prominently on her desk, a reminder of the day a child's song had cut through the noise of tourism and privileged travel, awakening her to a deeper way of moving through the world. On her blog, which once showcased luxury hotels and exotic locations, Sophia had begun a new series, The Voices Between Worlds, stories of communities finding strength through art, music, and culture despite displacement and hardship. Mei Lin's story had been the first, shared with permission and dignity, focusing not on poverty or pity, but on extraordinary resilience and talent. Comments had poured in, not the usual travel envy, but messages of support, readers asking how they could help similar situations, connections forming between distant communities. One bridge at a time, Sophia thought, as she played Mei Lin's CD again, remembering the marketplace, where a child's song had changed 2 lives forever. Have you ever had a moment that changed your perspective completely? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories of transformation.